Here's a fun fact, the Umarex licensed HK416 A5 is not really a new gun. I know, right? In the firearms world, it's been out for several years, and in Airsoft, it's been over in Europe for several months. Finally, it's made its way to Asia. Now what's cool about it? What's new about it? Is it worth the hype? And how does it even compare to the previous 416D? I have a feeling that this episode is going to be an episode of discovery. An episode where we compare not apples to oranges, but apples to other apples. As the words of Samuel L. Jackson from Jurassic Park, we better hold on to our butts. So the wait has been long, but has the wait been worth it? Finally landing at RedWolf TV is the HK416 A5 from Umarex. Now, there's a lot of hype going behind this gun, and a lot of people are saying it's pretty good, it's really solid, but does this particular gas blowback rifle propel this particular model to the top of the rankings? Will this be the one gas blowback to rule them all and in darkness bind them? Well, you know what? Enough Lord of the Rings references. Let's get right into the aesthetics of the gun. The one I have today is the tan version. Now, looking at this gun, it's definitely an H&K gun, and that's because, well, it's got markings up the wazoo, everywhere. H&K, H&K, H&K. And now, being the tan one, it's even got a unique coding name. Something cool? Something fancy you would expect? No, it's called RAL 8000. How German. Moving along. After talking about that coding, to be honest, I do want to mention a little something more about it. If you haven't noticed, on the tan version, this whole 50 Shades of Tan thing, you just gotta stop, man. Like, you can't tell me that you can't make the handguard a similar color to the upper and lower receiver, to the similar color of the grip and the buttstock. Like, and the dust cover is a different color too. I really don't know what you're going for here, but maybe a semblance of uniformity? Or maybe it's just my OCD kicking in. Now, let's move on to comparing it to the 416D. As we're going into the comparison between the A5 and the D version, you'd be pleased to know that the internals on the A5 are full steel, with the exception of just the control bits being aluminum and of course the selectors being polymer. Now, you'd also be pleased to know that the gun is fully ambidextrous, albeit the shroud over the bolt release is a little silly. I don't know if they were trying to fix a problem that really was there or they're trying to compensate for something. Now, time to compare with the D versions. This is the standard HK416D. This is my personal HK416D, and let's talk about how they differ with each other. Now, come a little closer, we're going to start up front. Right off the bat, you're going to see that the HK416 A5 is slightly longer, and that's due to the redesign of the gas block up front, which also facilitates as your hop-up adjustment dial. Much better than the two previous versions where you had to break the gun apart from the upper and lower receiver to adjust the hop-up inside the chamber. Second thing you're going to realize is that on the top, the lockup for the rail to the upper receiver is also slightly redesigned. On the D version, there is a wasted section here where the rail and the receiver locks up, and there's this flat piece where you really can't do anything with. With the A5, the lockup is done in such a way where you can actually have a rail section right here for you to mount whatever you want if you need to mount it that far ahead. Another thing you're going to notice right away are the sights. On the D version, it came with this style of front and rear sight, the very H&K traditional style. On the A5, you have a flip-up front sight and a flip-up rear sight, with the front sight being integrated into the rail itself. While we're so close to the guns, you will also see that the controls have been slightly redesigned as well. Larger paddle on the bolt release, and of course, ambidextrous magazine release. The selector switches are also slightly different, with now an enlarged paddle to help you with selecting your different firing modes. Very, very nice. Now let's talk about the ergonomic differences. As we get into the ergonomics of the guns, which is the grips as well as the stocks and how they feel in your hand, I want to remind everyone that don't forget, H&K can be at times a very polarizing company, and especially in terms of their ergonomics. That's why you see on my personal gun, I've switched out everything, and I have a reason for that. And now we're going to talk about how they compare with each other, starting with the pistol grips. On the A5, the grip finally removed that irritating finger groove because it never fit well for anybody. Second thing you're going to realize is that the trigger guard is now rounded instead of flat. So this is going to facilitate thicker gloves or you guys with generally bigger hands. One thing that you will notice that I have completely switched out this pistol grip altogether. And why is that, you may ask? And that's because I feel like the H&K stock grip has too much surface at the back in your palm, but not enough purchase where your fingers go. So it makes a very weird grip in your hand as it's trying to push back into your palm, and it makes it very uncomfortable over time. Now we're gonna talk about the elephant's foot in the room, which is the stock. When we talk about the stock, I have to start with this monstrosity. As you can see on my gun, pretty much the moment I got it, I took it off and I threw it away. It's not that comfortable, it's big and bulky, and the butt pad is on a convex shape and it's not concave. So it doesn't shoulder very well or very comfortably, especially if you're wearing body armor or a plate carrier. Now, as you can see on mine, I switched it out to the Magpul PTS MOE style stock. Slimline, works well, shoulders good, and I feel like they've finally come to a happy medium with the slimline stock. This stock looks great, it's minimalistic, it's got a small footprint, and finally the butt pad also fits comfortably in your shoulder. Props to H&K, you did it right. Another cool thing about this gun is its ability to change its FPS. But I'm gonna let my buddy Gambit talk about it. Y'all ready for another episode of Gambit's Guide? Click on the card above or in the description below. Welcome back to the warehouse. We're about to take the HK416 A5 for a spin. Now, I have been using an HK416D for quite a long time, so I'm interested to see how this would stack up to mine. Mine is also heavily modified with a high-speed buffer and a heavier bolt, so I really want to see how this heavier bolt and stiffer buffer spring translates. The good thing is it also has flip-up front and rear sights. I am dying to find out how this gun shoots. The first thing I feel right away is the recoil impulse coming straight back. It's sharp, it's snappy, and that stiff buffer spring really puts that bolt right back forward real quick, chambering the next round. It's pretty good. This trigger is something else. It is buttery smooth, hardly any take up, and that break, oh my goodness. I've shot some good airsoft triggers before, but this thing is something else. It's on another level, that's for sure. The reset is not only audible and tactile, but it is so tactile. You can feel it so well. You can probably feel it through some heavy gloves. Let's just dump the rest of that mag down there. Sorry, Quake. Bolt locks back to the rear just fine. And I'm pretty happy with those results. Back to the studio. So y'all want to watch another video about another HK416? This time the C. Why don't you click on the card above for Tim's review, or you can also find that in the description below. They're really big arrows, so I'm sure you guys can find them this time. What do I think about the HK416 A5? As a gas blowback rifle, is it efficient? Yes. Does it shoot good? Yes. Does it have great recoil impulse? Also yes. Is it gonna be the one to rule them all? Now, that's where I'm pretty sure some of you guys are gonna fight me on it. I don't think so, but at the same time, I feel like it's made an extremely convincing case for itself, whether it be in terms of control, trigger, and accuracy. It's a great gas blowback rifle, but just something seems to be a little lacking, and that's maybe my biases towards the color scheme. Now, earlier in the episode, I said we're going to be comparing apples to apples, and I think we did just that when we compared the HK416A5 to the HK416D. And I would have to say, to the A5's credit, it fixed some of those problems or issues, or to me, there are more points of irritation, like the stock, like some of the ergonomics, like the lockup up front where it's wasted a section of my Picatinny rail. The color though, but you know, before I work myself into a tizzy. Anyways, guys, let me know, what do you guys think as a gas blowback rifle, or just as a rifle in general? Do you think that the HK416 A5 by Umarex has a place in the upper echelons of airsoft guns? I certainly think so. What do you think? Let me know all of that in the comment section below. And if you want to find cool products like this and many more, don't forget to check out our online store at www.redwolfairsoft.com. My name is Mark, aka Blue Steel, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode of RedWolf TV. Now I'm going to have to call the German ambassador, ask him about what's up with this color.